The Kremlin's decision to deploy Russian troops into Crimea and East Ukraine last year left Europe in a quandary. At first, the EU imposed asset freezes and travel restrictions. Then, harsher economic sanctions followed. These were extended again after the downing of MH17 and as more Russian troops poured over into the Donbas region. Now, during all that time, Brussels had leverage and evidence to justify its measures. But with the ceasefire in Ukraine now holding and Russia's growing diplomatic role in ending Syria's civil war and consequent refugee influx across European states, there is concern among countries, including Poland and the Baltics in particular, over whether European leaders can maintain a united front on maintaining pressure on Moscow. This dilemma was addressed this week by the bi-monthly magazine New Eastern European. The virtual peace in eastern Ukraine and the lack of reforms in the country have definitely helped European governments to look at Russia in a more friendly way. The war in Syria is yet another step that led to Russia becoming an essential part of high-level talks on most global issues. This warming of EU-Russia relations was most recently seen when Germany's Vice-Chancellor Sigmar Gabriel paid a visit to Putin's headquarters in Moscow. Amid the handshakes and mutual compliments, the elephant in the room was the topic of joint German-Russian energy projects, in particular the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. But not everybody in Europe is happy about this. Jakobik writes, "Now there is a war going on in Brussels between those who favour special economic relations with Moscow and support the idea of economic cooperation from Lisbon to Vladivostok, and those who stand towards a more assertive policy towards Russia remembering the gas wars or the annexation of Crimea, which only happened 1.5 years ago." With this more business-as-usual attitude, Germany's reliance on Gazprom supplies and the individual interests of German politicians at stake, Jakobik writes that the idea of a smoothing of relations thought of as almost impossible in recent months now appears to be ever the more likely. In this situation, it is possible that the least expected scenario may actually come into effect, a reset of relations with Russia. Having in mind Gabriel's visit to Russia and the intense push for Nord Stream 2, one cannot exclude that it is already taking place behind the back of Ukraine and its closest supporters. The current actions of the German government are just a ploy to cover. So we have to just wait and see over the next few months to what extent Germany's business interests in Russia affect Merkel's stance over the crisis in Ukraine. That's all we have time for today on the Press Review. Join us again tomorrow.